Ladies and gentlemen, there are seasons when life strips you down to nothing, not to destroy you, but to redefine you. Moments when silence becomes your classroom, pressure becomes your teacher, and pain becomes your training ground. If you are still standing after what tried to break you, it is proof that your story is not finished. What knocked you down did not knock you out. It only positioned you for a return that will shock everyone who counted you out. You did not lose time. You gained wisdom. You did not fall behind. You were pulled aside. While others were watching, you were becoming. While they were talking, you were transforming. God often hides his greatest work in the darkest seasons because if people saw what he was building in you, they would try to interfere with the process. That is why the struggle felt lonely. That is why the road felt quiet. That is why you had to walk alone. You survived betrayal without becoming bitter. You endured loss without losing faith. You learned to stand without applause and believe without evidence. That is not weakness. That is maturity. That is strength refined by fire. And fire does not destroy gold. It reveals that 2026 is not about returning to who you were. That version of you is gone. You are not coming back louder. You are coming back deeper, not angrier, but wiser, not desperate, but disciplined. The comeback won't need an announcement because results will speak louder than explanations. Those who mocked your delay will be confused by your arrival. Those who underestimated your silence will be stunned by your authority. What they called a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in disguise. What looked like an ending was a divine reset. And when planted people rise, they don't come back recognizable. They come back transformed. Stronger roots, sharper vision, unshakable faith. When you rise in 2026, it will not be to prove them wrong. It will be to fulfill what heaven already decided about you. Get ready, not for revenge, not for noise, not for validation, but for alignment. Because when purpose meets preparation, comeback becomes inevitable. There are moments in life when waiting feels heavier than failure. When doors stay closed longer than expected, prayers seem unanswered. Progress appears invisible. It is easy to assume that the answer must be no. But delay is not denial. Delay is often the evidence that something greater is being prepared, something that requires more depth, more strength, and more maturity than you currently possess. What you call waiting, heaven often calls working. Delay stretches faith in ways immediate answers never could. Anyone can believe when the outcome is instant, but true faith is revealed when you must trust without timelines, without reassurance, and without applause. Delay strips away the need for control and forces you to lean into purpose. It teaches you to walk by conviction instead of convenience, to rely on character instead of comfort. In delay, you learn whether you truly believe what you say you believe. Some of the most painful seasons are not seasons of rejection, but seasons of refinement. You were not denied, you were being shaped. The weight you feel is not the weight of loss, but the weight of becoming. Delay presses on weak areas so they can be strengthened. It exposes impatience, pride, fear, and insecurity, not to shame you, but to heal you. What would happen if everything you asked for arrived before you were ready to sustain it? Many people pray for elevation, but have not yet developed the discipline required to remain elevated. Delay protects you from premature success. There are things you desire that are bigger than your current capacity, not because you are unworthy, but because growth must happen before possession. Timing is as important as blessing. A promise delivered too early can become a burden instead of a breakthrough. Delay gives you time to develop wisdom, endurance, and emotional stability. It allows your roots to grow deeper so that when the winds of responsibility come, you will not be uprooted. Delay also redefines your relationship with purpose. When things happen quickly, you may mistake opportunity for calling. But when you wait, you are forced to ask deeper questions. Why do I want this? Who am I becoming while I pursue it? Am I chasing recognition or obedience? Delay purifies motivation. It removes the hunger for validation and replaces it with a hunger for alignment. What survives delay is what was meant for you in the first place. Often, delay feels like isolation. People who once walked with you move ahead, relationships change, and the familiar disappears. But isolation is not abandonment. It is often the space where clarity is born. In the quiet, distractions lose their power, and your inner voice becomes louder. Delay gives you time to hear direction instead of noise. It teaches you how to stand without leaning on others for identity or approval. You learn who you are when no one is clapping. Delay exposes the difference between impulse and instruction. Impulse demands now. Instruction requires patience. Impulse reacts to emotion. Instruction responds to wisdom. Delay trains you to wait for instruction. It teaches restraint in a world addicted to speed. It teaches you that not every opportunity is an assignment and not every open door is yours to walk through. Some doors are open only to test your discernment. In the waiting, frustration often rises. You may question your worth, your calling, and even your faith. But questioning does not cancel destiny, quitting does. Delay is only dangerous when it turns into discouragement. When you allow delay to convince you that nothing is happening, you miss the invisible work taking place within you. Muscles grow under resistance. Character grows under pressure. Faith grows under uncertainty. Delay also teaches humility. When progress is slow, ego loses its grip. You stop comparing your journey to others because comparison becomes exhausting. You begin to respect process. You realize that speed impresses people, but endurance builds legacy. Delay teaches you that lasting impact is not rushed. Anything worth carrying into the future must be built to last. There are lessons you can only learn in delay. How to trust when you cannot trace. How to remain faithful when results are absent. How to serve without spotlight. How to keep going when momentum is gone. These lessons are not taught in success. They are taught in waiting. And once learned, they cannot be taken from you. Delay does not mean you were forgotten. It often means you were selected for something that requires preparation beyond the surface. You are being trained for responsibility, not just reward. The longer the wait, the greater the weight you are being prepared to carry. This is not punishment, it is positioning. What feels like stagnation may actually be stabilization. Before something rises high, it must be secured deep. Delay anchors you. It steadies your foundation so that when acceleration comes, you do not collapse under pressure. Many people rise fast and fall hard because they skip the season of waiting. Delay is mercy disguised as patience. Even when delay is caused by mistakes, it is not denial. Detours do not cancel destinations. They adjust timing and perspective. Growth still happens. Wisdom still accumulates. Healing still takes place. What matters is not how long it takes, but who you become along the way. Delay allows redemption to do its quiet work. Eventually, delay gives way to movement. The waiting season ends and doors begin to open with precision and clarity. When it happens, you will realize why it could not come sooner. You will see how fragile you once were, how unprepared you once felt, how incomplete your understanding was. You will be grateful that the answer did not arrive before you were ready to receive it. Delay is not denial. It is development. It is not rejection, it is redirection. It is not silence, it is instruction. What you are waiting for is waiting on you to become the version capable of sustaining it. Trust the process, honor the season, stay faithful in the unseen. When the time comes, and it will, you will not just receive what you asked for, you will have the strength, wisdom, and stability to keep it. And then you will understand the delay was never meant to stop you. It was meant to shape you. There are seasons in life when the noise fades, the crowd thins, and familiar voices grow distant. In those moments, isolation can feel like rejection, abandonment, or failure. You may wonder why the people who once surrounded you no longer understand you, or why the path ahead seems so lonely. But isolation is not always a sign of loss. It is a sign of preparation. What feels like separation is sometimes the necessary space where transformation begins. Isolation removes distractions that comfort could never silence. When life is busy and people are plentiful, it is easy to lean on external validation, routine conversations, and familiar environments. Growth is often postponed in comfort. Isolation disrupts that comfort. It strips away the excess and forces you to confront what remains, your thoughts, your motives, your fears, and your calling. In isolation, you meet yourself without filters, and that encounter is rarely easy, but it is always revealing. Preparation requires focus, and focus requires space. Cannot hear direction clearly when everything around you is loud. Isolation quiets the noise so clarity can emerge. It sharpens your vision by removing competing voices. When everyone has access to your time, your purpose becomes diluted. Isolation teaches you how to guard your energy, your attention, and your priorities. It shows you what truly matters and what merely occupied space. Isolation also builds independence of spirit. When support systems fall away, you learn how to stand on conviction rather than encouragement. You discover strength you did not know you had because you were never forced to use it. In isolation, you learn how to self-regulate, self-reflect, and self-correct. You stop depending on constant affirmation and start developing inner assurance. That assurance becomes unshakable because it was forged in solitude, not crowds. Many people fear isolation because it exposes unresolved wounds. Quiet seasons, distractions no longer mask pain. Memories surface. Doubts speak loud, regrets revisit you. But this exposure is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to heal you. Isolation creates space for restoration. It brings hidden issues to the surface so they can be addressed instead of ignored. Healing requires honesty, and honesty often requires solitude. Isolation is also where discipline is formed. Without external accountability, you must decide who you are when no one is watching. Your habits reveal themselves in isolation. Your consistency is tested. Your integrity is proven. Preparation is not built in public moments. It is built in private ones. What you do repeatedly in isolation determines how you will perform when visibility returns. Public strength is sustained by private discipline. In isolation, your identity is refined. When roles, titles, and relationships are stripped away, you are forced to answer a deeper question. Who am I without all of this? Isolation separates who you are from what you do. It dismantles false identities built on approval, success, or association. What remains is authenticity. That authenticity becomes the foundation for lasting impact because it is rooted in truth, not performance. Isolation often feels like being overlooked, but it is more accurate to see it as being set aside. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Preparation happens away from the spotlight because visibility too early can sabotage development. Some things must grow unseen before they can withstand exposure. Isolation protects what is forming within you until it is strong enough to stand on its own. During isolation, patience is developed. Progress feels slow because results are not immediately visible. This teaches you to value process over applause. You learn to find satisfaction in growth rather than recognition. Isolation shifts your motivation from external reward to internal purpose. When your drive is no longer dependent on attention, your focus becomes purer and your endurance stronger. Isolation also deepens discernment. Fewer voices influencing you, your ability to recognize truth sharpens. You become more aware of what aligns with your values and what compromises them. Isolation teaches you how to say no without guilt and yes with confidence. It refines your judgment so that when opportunities arise, you can choose wisely instead of impulsively. Emotionally, isolation strengthens resilience. Loneliness forces you to confront discomfort without escape. You learn how to sit with uncertainty, manage your emotions, and process challenges internally. This emotional maturity is essential for leadership, responsibility, and influence. Without it, pressure becomes overwhelming. With it, pressure becomes manageable. Isolation also reshapes your relationships. As you grow, you begin to recognize which connections were seasonal and which are lasting. Isolation creates distance that reveals alignment. Some people fade away not because of conflict, but because of difference in direction. This is not loss, it is clarity. Preparation requires alignment. Alignment often requires separation. Spiritually, isolation deepens trust. When external support diminishes, reliance shifts inward and upward. Faith becomes personal instead of borrowed. Convictions become internal instead of inherited. Isolation teaches you how to believe without evidence and trust without reassurance. That depth of trust becomes your anchor in future storms. Isolation is not meant to be permanent. It is a season, not a sentence. Its purpose is not to disconnect you from the world, but to reconnect you to yourself and your purpose. When preparation is complete, reintegration happens naturally. You return with greater clarity, stronger boundaries, and deeper wisdom. When isolation ends, you do not re-enter life as the same person. You emerge more grounded, more intentional, more resilient. The solitude that once felt heavy becomes the foundation of your strength. You realize that the quiet did not weaken you. it equipped you. Isolation is preparation. It is the unseen work before visible impact, the silent training before public responsibility. It is the space where strength is built, vision is clarified, and identity is refined. What feels like being alone is often the process of becoming ready. And when the time comes to step forward, you will carry within you everything isolation taught you: focus, discipline, clarity, and unshakable strength. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. It arrives uninvited, disrupts comfort, and challenges every assumption we hold about strength. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid it, numb it, or escape it. Yet pain, when properly understood, is not only inevitable, it is instrumental. Pain is not sent to destroy you, it is allowed to develop you. When embraced with purpose, pain becomes the birthplace of power. Pain has a way of revealing truth. It strips away illusion and exposes reality. When life is easy, weaknesses can hide behind routine and distraction. Pain removes the mask. It shows you who you are when support disappears, when certainty fades, and when answers are delayed. In pain, you discover what truly matters and what never did. That revelation, though uncomfortable, is the foundation of genuine strength. Power is not formed in comfort. Comfort maintains, but pain transforms. Muscles do not grow without resistance, and character does not mature without pressure. Pain applies resistance to the soul. It forces adaptation. It challenges you to rise beyond who you were and become who you must be. Every difficult season demands growth, and growth always carries discomfort. Pain also sharpens awareness. It heightens perception and sensitivity. You begin to notice patterns you ignored, boundaries you neglected, and choices you avoided. Pain brings clarity where complacency once lived. It teaches discernment by showing you the cost of ignoring intuition and the consequences of misalignment. This awareness becomes power because it enables wiser decisions in the future. There is a unique strength that comes from surviving what was meant to break you. Endurance builds confidence, not arrogance, but quiet assurance. When you have faced pain and remained standing, fear loses its authority over you. You realize that you are more resilient than you imagine. That realization becomes power because it changes how you approach challenges. You no longer panic at adversity, you engage it with experience. Pain develops emotional intelligence. It forces you to confront feelings you may have avoided: grief, disappointment, anger, and vulnerability. Processing these emotions rather than suppressing them creates depth. Emotional depth allows you to respond rather than react, to empathize rather than judge. This emotional strength is power because it enables connection, leadership, and influence without control or force. Pain also teaches humility. It reminds you of your limits and exposes the fragility of self-reliance. Humility is not weakness, it is accurate self-awareness. It allows you to learn, to listen, and to grow. In pain, pride dissolves, making room for wisdom. Wisdom born from pain is powerful because it is tested, not theoretical. Many people attempt to rush through pain, eager to reach relief without understanding. But pain has lessons that cannot be skipped. When ignored, pain repeats itself in different forms. When acknowledged, it transforms. Power comes not from avoiding pain, but from extracting meaning from it. Meaning turns suffering into strategy. Pain also builds compassion. Those who have endured hardship carry a deeper capacity for understanding others. They recognize struggle without explanation. This compassion is power because it heals environments, strengthens relationships, and fosters trust. People are drawn to those who speak from experience rather than assumption. Pain gives credibility to your voice. In moments of pain, discipline is forged. When motivation fades, discipline must rise. Pain teaches consistency when comfort is absent. Trains you to keep going even when progress is slow and rewards are unseen. This discipline becomes power because it sustains growth beyond emotion. Ensures longevity, not just intensity. Pain refines focus. When life hurts, trivial concerns lose importance. Energy is redirected toward what truly matters. Distractions fall away, priorities realign. Pain simplifies life by removing excess. That simplicity creates power because clarity fuels effectiveness. You become more intentional, more precise, and more aligned. Pain also reshapes identity. It forces you to confront who you are beneath roles, achievements, and relationships. When external structures collapse, internal values emerge. This internal grounding is power because it anchors you against future storms. You are no longer defined by circumstances, but by character. There is also power in the testimony of pain. When you survive and grow, your story becomes a source of strength for others. Pain that is processed becomes wisdom that can be shared. Your survival becomes evidence that endurance is possible. This influence is power because it multiplies impact beyond your own life. Pain is often the gateway to purpose. Many discover their calling through suffering. What you endure often aligns with what you are meant to heal, lead, create. Pain reveals passion by exposing injustice, need, or absence. Purpose born from pain is powerful because it is personal and persistent. However, pain only produces power when it is met with intention. Bitterness blocks growth. Resentment drains energy. Power is not produced by pain alone, by response to pain. Choosing growth over grief, learning over loss, and meaning over misery transforms pain into strength. Over time, pain changes how you view success. You value substance over appearance, depth over speed, and truth over approval. This shift is power because it frees you from shallow pursuits. You pursue fulfillment rather than validation. Eventually, pain loses its sting. Not because it never happened, but because it has been integrated into who you are. It becomes part of your foundation rather than a wound. Pain no longer controls you, it empowers you. Pain produces power not by harming you, but by shaping you. It challenges, refines, and strengthens every layer of your being. When you allow pain to teach rather than defeat you, it becomes the force that elevates you beyond limitation. What once hurt you becomes what holds you up, and in that transformation, true power is revealed. In a world obsessed with noise, volume is often mistaken for value. People believe that speaking loudly, often and immediately, is a sign of confidence or leadership. Yet true authority is rarely created by words alone. It is cultivated in silence. Silence builds authority because it demonstrates control, depth, and discernment. It is the space where thought becomes strategy, wisdom is formed, and influence is solidified. Silence forces focus. When you are not constantly speaking, you are observing. You notice patterns, motives, and intentions that others miss in their rush to react. Authority begins with awareness, and awareness cannot exist amidst constant noise. By choosing silence, you give yourself the ability to understand what is happening beneath the surface. You see things clearly, and clarity is a cornerstone of influence. Those who speak without listening may be heard, but those who listen before they speak are followed. Silence also demonstrates confidence. People often fill gaps with words because they fear being perceived as inadequate, uninformed, or invisible. Yet those who understand their value and timing know that speaking at the right moment carries more power than speaking without pause. Authority grows when words are chosen deliberately, when communication is intentional. Silence conveys that you are grounded enough not to prove yourself. People respect restraint because it signals mastery over impulse and emotion. Furthermore, silence creates anticipation. When you are measured in your speech, others lean in to hear what you have to say. Your words are weighted, not wasted. Authority is strengthened by selectivity. The more thoughtful and rare your contributions, the more impact they carry. Silence is not emptiness, it is the canvas on which your voice becomes meaningful. Those who always speak rarely compel attention. Those who speak with precision are listened to and remembered. Silence also shields power. Information is influence. Indiscriminate sharing can erode both. Those who reveal everything too soon give others the ability to anticipate, manipulate, or undermine them. Silence allows strategy to develop in private. It prevents exposure and protects vision. Authority is built when you hold knowledge with discretion, when you act with purpose rather than impulse. In silence, you safeguard your future while others rush into disclosure. The act of remaining silent is itself a form of communication. It signals discernment and self-control. It demonstrates that you are not reactive but deliberate, driven by emotion but by principle. Silence conveys that you are listening, processing, and evaluating before you act. Authority grows in those who can respond rather than react, who can choose when to speak and when to remain still. People naturally respect those who operate with this level of intentionality. Silence cultivates internal power. Many spend their lives seeking validation, constantly explaining, defending, or asserting themselves. Authority, however, is anchored internally. When you are silent, You are not seeking approval. You are confident in your own understanding, convictions, and capabilities. Internal power does not demand external affirmation. Silence strengthens this inner authority by allowing it to exist independently of the opinions of others. Silence also sharpens communication. You speak rarely but meaningfully. Each word carries weight. Others are more likely to internalize your messages, take them seriously, and follow your guidance. Authority is reinforced by clarity and precision. Too much talk can dilute impact. Strategic silence enhances it. Leaders who have mastered silence are those whose words inspire action, not just conversation. In addition, silence teaches patience. Authority is not instant. It is earned over time. Those who understand the value of waiting, observing, and preparing cultivate respect that outlasts immediate applause. Patience in silence demonstrates maturity. It signals that you understand timing, consequence, and the importance of deliberate action. Authority is never rushed. It is developed steadily through consistency, wisdom, and restraint. Silence also fosters humility. By listening more than you speak, you gain insight into others, their perspectives, and the dynamics around you. Humility does not diminish authority, it strengthens it. People are drawn to leaders who understand, not just those who command. Quiet observer is often the most powerful because they hold knowledge that others overlook. Authority grows in those who can see more than they reveal, who understand more than they articulate, and who act when the time is right. Moreover, silence allows for reflection and learning. Authority is not simply a position. It is the product of accumulated wisdom. Every moment of quiet provides space to assess experiences, internalize lessons, and refine strategy. Speaking without reflection often leads to error, while thoughtful silence cultivates insight. Those who master silence are constantly evolving, adapting, and improving. Their authority is rooted not in ego, but in understanding. Silence also commands respect in the presence of conflict. When chaos surrounds you, reacting immediately may escalate tension or reveal weakness. Strategic silence demonstrates composure and control. Authority is reinforced when you are not driven by emotion, but guided by principle. People trust those who remain steady under pressure, and silence is a visible testament to that steadiness. In relationships, silence builds influence. People naturally gravitate toward those who listen and respond with intention. Authority in interpersonal dynamics is often less about dictating and more about guiding through presence. By speaking less and observing more, you gain insight into needs, motivations, and desires. This understanding allows you to act with precision, influence with subtlety, and lead with empathy. Finally, silence creates space for divine alignment or higher insight. In quiet moments, clarity emerges that is not available in constant chatter. Authority is reinforced when decisions are informed by wisdom, timing, and discernment rather than impulsive reaction. In silence, the mind and spirit align, allowing for strategy and execution that is both intelligent and inspired. In conclusion, silence is far from weakness. It is the forge in which true authority is created. It sharpens observation, strengthens internal power, protects strategy, amplifies impact. Silence allows you to speak with weight, act with purpose, and lead with confidence. In a world where everyone talks, the one who masters silence commands attention, respect, and influence. Authority is built not in the clamor of constant speech, but in the measured stillness of deliberate thought. Those who understand the power of silence hold the keys to influence, respect, and lasting leadership. Life has a way of making us feel defeated, as though every setback, disappointment, and closed door is a judgment on our worth. When challenges persist, when efforts seem fruitless, when hope feels distant, it is easy to assume that we have been buried by circumstances. There is a profound difference between being buried and being planted. Buried is an ending. Planted is a beginning. Buried is suffocating. Planted is nurturing. Buried is despair. Planted is destiny. When you face adversity, it is often because the soil of preparation must be rich with pressure before growth can occur. Every setback, every delay, every struggle is not meant to end you. It is meant to equip you. Pain, trial, and difficulty are not indicators that you have been discarded. They are indicators that you are in the process of transformation. Being planted requires depth. It requires darkness and discomfort so that roots can take hold and strength can develop. Buried is static, planted is dynamic. One suffocates, The other sustains. Consider the seed. When it is placed in the soil, it is covered. Darkness surrounds it. It cannot see the light. It cannot move. From the surface, it appears lifeless. Yet beneath the soil, transformation is occurring. The seed is breaking open, sending roots downward, seeking nourishment, preparing to grow upward. What looks like an ending is actually preparation. The soil is not the grave of the seed. It is the womb of its potential. So it is with you. Every season that feels like limitation, confinement, or stagnation is actually a fertile environment for growth. Being planted requires patience. Growth takes time. Roots do not develop overnight. Strength does not appear instantly. Resilience is not forged in an instant. Every layer of preparation, every moment of waiting, and every trial endured contributes to the foundation that will one day support extraordinary growth. While the world measures progress by visibility and speed, the planted person understands that life works beneath the surface before it manifests above. Patience is the soil in which purpose flourishes. Being planted also requires trust. Seeds do not know when they will sprout. They do not control the sunlight, the water, or the climate. They cannot demand growth. They can only exist faithfully within the environment they are placed in. Likewise, when you feel covered by struggle or obscured by circumstances, you must trust that the process is purposeful. The timing, the environment, unseen work around you are all orchestrated for your development. Trust allows you to embrace uncertainty without fear, knowing that what is happening beneath the surface is aligning you with your destiny. Being planted demands resilience. Pressure pushes down. Soil constrains. Conditions can feel harsh, and yet it is precisely these conditions that build strength. Roots deepen only when there is resistance. Growth above ground is impossible without anchoring below. Likewise, in life, every challenge you face is strengthening your foundation. Every difficulty endured equips you to rise taller, stronger, and more grounded than before. Resilience is the proof that planting has been intentional. It demonstrates that growth is inevitable even when it is delayed. Being planted requires faith. The seed cannot see the sun while buried, yet it reaches upward instinctively. It is guided by an inherent design to grow, even when circumstances seem impossible. Similarly, when you are in a season of obscurity or struggle, faith is your guiding force. You move forward, not because everything is clear, but because you trust the process. Faith sustains you when hope feels distant, knowing that your current environment is preparing you for something greater than what you can see. Being planted cultivates transformation. The seed is unrecognizable beneath the soil. It must first break, dissolve, and reform internally before it can rise as a plant. Likewise, seasons that feel confining, lonely, or challenging are not meant to leave you unchanged. They are shaping your character, refining your purpose, developing your strength. Transformation often requires darkness because light alone cannot produce the depth of growth required for your future. What emerges will be far stronger and more capable than what went in. Being planted teaches humility. Seeds cannot demand sunshine. They cannot control the rainfall. They exist within the boundaries set for them and rely on external forces to nourish them. In life, humility is learned when we recognize that we do not control every outcome. We are shaped by forces beyond ourselves, circumstances, guidance, and timing. Humility allows you to grow without arrogance, to adapt without resistance, and to receive without entitlement. Authority and influence are built on the foundation of humility cultivated during preparation. Being planted strengthens purpose. A seed is planted with potential. Its growth is inevitable because it is designed for it. Likewise, you are planted with a unique destiny. Every challenge you endure, every setback you experience, and every moment you feel confined is a signal that you are being positioned for impact. Planning process aligns your abilities, character, and resilience with the purpose you are meant to fulfill. You are not in a season of dormancy. You are in a season of destiny being prepared. Being planted inspires hope. Even in darkness, life is forming. Even when circumstances seem stagnant, potential is growing. Every moment of struggle, every experience of delay, every challenge faced is evidence that something greater is emerging. Hope does not rely on immediate results. It relies on the unseen work that precedes manifestation. Those who understand this live with anticipation, knowing that emergence is inevitable. Being planted produces results. When the right time comes, growth explodes upward. The roots that were strengthened, the strength that was developed, the resilience that was formed all contribute to visible impact. What seemed like stagnation becomes flourishing. What appeared as limitation becomes liberation. What looked like confinement becomes a stage for greatness. The planted rise not by accident, they rise because preparation was intentional, enduring, and unseen. In conclusion, you were planted, not buried. Every trial, every moment of delay, and every season of darkness is evidence of preparation, not defeat. Buried is the end, planted is the beginning. Buried is despair. Planted is destiny. You are not consumed by circumstances. You are being cultivated for greatness. The challenges, pressures, isolation you face are the soil in which your roots are deepening. Your strength is developing, and your purpose is forming. When the moment of emergence comes, you will not just rise, you will thrive. You will rise stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. You will rise in alignment with the purpose for which you were designed. You were not placed in adversity to be crushed. You were planted in preparation to flourish. And when you emerge, it will be undeniable. The one who appeared constrained has grown into the one who cannot be contained. In a world driven by approval, recognition, and applause, it is easy to mistake attention for significance. People often measure their worth by likes, compliments, promotions, or external affirmation. Seek validation from peers, leaders, or society, believing that being recognized equates to being valued. Yet true power, influence, fulfillment are not born from validation, they are born from transformation. Transformation over validation is the principle that real growth, authentic purpose, and enduring success come not from what the world sees, but from who you become in the unseen process. Validation is fleeting. It is dependent on opinion, circumstance, and perception. Praise today can become criticism tomorrow. Approval is conditional, often influenced by bias, misunderstanding, or superficial impressions. If your worth is tethered to validation, you will live a life of constant reaction, chasing acknowledgement instead of developing depth. Transformation, on the other hand, is permanent. It is the internal work that shapes character, refines vision, and strengthens resilience. Transformation does not seek attention, it cultivates endurance. Transformation does not require applause, it creates authority. The pursuit of validation often leads to compromise. People adjust their actions, words, even beliefs to be liked or accepted. They may pursue paths that shine in public but do not align with purpose. Validation encourages conformity, whereas transformation demands authenticity. Transformation asks the difficult questions: who am I becoming? What is my character developing into? Does this path strengthen me or merely impress others? Those who choose transformation over validation accept the challenge of being misunderstood because they are committed to becoming, not to being seen. Transformation requires patience. Unlike validation, which can be immediate and gratifying, transformation is a slow, often invisible process. It unfolds in silence, in effort, and in persistence. You may study, work, pray, or practice in obscurity while the world does not notice. The results are not instant. The applause is absent. Yet each day of commitment, discipline, and growth adds layers to your character. Transformation deepens your foundation, ensuring that when recognition eventually comes, it rests upon substance rather than surface. Transformation over validation also demands self-awareness. To grow authentically, you must recognize where you are dependent on approval. You must identify moments when your decisions are influenced more by how others will perceive you than by what your purpose demands. This requires honesty and courage. Transformation asks you to face your fears, confront your limitations, and embrace your potential, independent of external judgment. In this process, authority emerges naturally because it is rooted in character rather than applause. Another dimension of transformation is resilience. Validation can easily be withdrawn or denied, leaving those dependent on it feeling empty or defeated. Transformation, however, equips you to stand even when no one notices. It strengthens the mind, refines the spirit, and anchors identity and values rather than approval. Those who pursue transformation over validation learn to persevere when success is unseen, to continue when praise is absent, and to rise when circumstances are discouraging. This resilience becomes power, an internal force that cannot be shaken by public opinion. Transformation shapes vision. While validation encourages short-term wins, transformation fosters long-term purpose. People who seek validation often focus on what is popular, convenient, or impressive. But those committed to transformation prioritize what is meaningful, sustainable, and impactful. Transformation aligns actions with destiny, refining skills, deepening knowledge, and cultivating influence. It prepares you for the responsibilities, challenges, opportunities that recognition alone cannot sustain. Transformation over validation also cultivates humility. When you are not driven by the need to be seen, you can serve without seeking reward, lead without demanding recognition, and grow without comparing yourself to others. Humility allows for learning, adaptability, and genuine connection. Validation often inflates ego or fosters dependency on external judgment. Transformation silences the need for constant approval, replacing it with inner confidence and self-respect. This internal authority naturally commands respect from others. Transformation strengthens relationships. People who chase validation often base connections on what they can gain from others' approval, creating superficial bonds. Those focused on transformation build relationships rooted in authenticity, trust, and mutual growth. Transformation teaches patience, empathy, and understanding because it nurtures character rather than ego. The influence of transformed individuals is enduring because it is grounded in integrity and consistency, not fleeting admiration. Spiritual and emotional growth are also products of transformation over validation. When you seek validation, your emotions become vulnerable to the whims of others. Rejection can devastate, criticism can cripple, and misunderstanding can derail. Transformation, however, centers your worth and purpose internally. You are not controlled by the approval or disapproval of others. Your emotional equilibrium and spiritual foundation are strengthened. Transformation empowers you to act with clarity, make decisions with confidence, navigate life with resilience regardless of external affirmation. Transformation is not opposed to recognition, it simply places it in the right context. You pursue transformation first, recognition becomes a byproduct, not a requirement. Success is sustainable because it is grounded in preparation, discipline, and character. Influence is lasting because it is rooted in authenticity, not image. Authority is respected because it reflects wisdom, popularity. Those who chase validation without transformation may achieve temporary attention, but their impact is fragile and often short-lived. Those who focus on transformation first create legacies that endure. Finally, transformation over validation allows you to embrace seasons of silence, struggle, and obscurity. While the world may not notice your efforts, the work you are doing internally is shaping your future. Every challenge you endure, every discipline you maintain, and every lesson you internalize is part of a transformation that will one day produce exponential results. Those who wait endure, grow quietly, emerge with influence that cannot be ignored, authority that cannot be challenged, and fulfillment that cannot be taken away. In conclusion, transformation over validation is the principle that real strength, purpose, and authority are developed internally, not externally. Validation is temporary, transformation is lasting, approval can fade, growth remains, recognition is conditional, character is permanent. Those who focus on transformation over validation embrace patience, humility, resilience, and authenticity. They develop influence that cannot be taken, strength that cannot be shaken, and success that cannot be stolen. Transformation builds foundations. Validation builds only appearances. Choose to grow refined. Choose substance over applause, depth over image, and authenticity over recognition. In doing so, you cultivate a life, a legacy, an authority that stands regardless of who notices or who applauds. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice, preparation, and consistent action. Many people dream of success, long for influence, and hope for purpose, yet they fail to realize that dreams alone do not shape reality. Discipline is the bridge between aspiration and achievement. It is the daily commitment to action, the refusal to be swayed by comfort or distraction, the mastery of oneself over circumstance. Discipline creates destiny because it forms the character, habits, and focus necessary to fulfill potential. Without discipline, destiny remains a possibility. With discipline, it becomes inevitable. Discipline begins with self-control. The world is filled with temptations, distractions, and immediate gratifications that pull us away from long-term goals. It is easy to give in to comfort, procrastinate, or abandon effort when results are slow. Yet discipline is the ability to act in alignment with purpose, even when desire fades and motivation wavers. It is the capacity to do what must be done, even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or lonely. Self-control is not about restriction. It is about direction. It channels energy, focus, and effort toward the fulfillment of destiny. Discipline also requires vision. Without a clear understanding of what you are working toward, daily effort can feel meaningless. Discipline transforms mundane action into meaningful progress because it is guided by purpose. Every choice, every habit, and every sacrifice is intentional. Discipline aligns action with outcome. It ensures that energy is invested, not wasted. When you commit to disciplined living, you live intentionally rather than reactively. Destiny is not stumbled upon. It is built through consistent, purposeful action. Consistency is the heartbeat of discipline. Success rarely comes in a single moment of brilliance. It emerges through repeated effort over time. Daily habits, repeated decisions, and sustained focus compound to create results. Discipline is the practice of showing up even when inspiration is absent. It is the dedication to incremental progress, understanding that greatness is rarely instantaneous. Destiny is the sum of countless disciplined actions taken over time. Without consistency, even the greatest talent or vision cannot reach its full potential. Discipline also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will inevitably arise. Distractions, failures, and setbacks are not signs of defeat. They are tests of commitment. Discipline teaches endurance. It equips you to continue when circumstances are unfavorable, when recognition is absent, and when hope seems distant. Destiny requires persistence, and persistence requires the strength to act faithfully despite adversity. Each disciplined choice in the face of difficulty strengthens character and brings you closer to your purpose. Discipline sharpens focus. In a world of constant noise and competing priorities, it is easy to become scattered, distracted, and overwhelmed. Discipline teaches prioritization. It clarifies what is important, what is urgent, and what can be set aside. Focused effort produces results. Scattered effort produces exhaustion. Those who master discipline understand the power of selective attention. They conserve their energy for what truly matters, ensuring that each step they take advances their destiny rather than merely moving in circles. Discipline is closely linked to integrity. It is the alignment of words, actions, and values over time. Discipline requires honesty with oneself, acknowledging weaknesses, confronting temptations, and refusing shortcuts that compromise character. Integrity becomes a foundation for influence and authority. Destiny is built not only on skill and opportunity, but also on trustworthiness and credibility. Disciplined people honor commitments, maintain standards, demonstrate reliability, creating a reputation that amplifies their impact and sustains their success. Discipline creates freedom, not restriction. It is a common misconception that discipline is confining, but true discipline expands possibilities. By controlling impulses and mastering habits, you free yourself from chaos, distraction, and self-sabotage. Discipline transforms potential into action, enabling you to pursue greater ambitions with clarity and confidence. Freedom is not the absence of structure. It is the ability to act intentionally, unshackled by disorganization, fear, or indecision. Destiny is realized when discipline liberates your capacity to perform at your highest level. Discipline also cultivates patience. Many desire immediate results, yet the journey toward destiny often requires endurance. Discipline teaches the value of waiting with purpose, acting with consistency, and trusting the process. Patience is not passive. It is active discipline applied over time. The ability to persist without immediate reward is a defining characteristic of those who ultimately fulfill their calling. Destiny unfolds for those who are willing to labor faithfully, while others pursue shortcuts or succumb to frustration. Discipline is the engine behind mastery. Talent and opportunity can spark success, but without disciplined practice, refinement, and preparation, they often fade. Mastery is achieved through relentless focus on improvement, attention to detail, and commitment to excellence. Discipline ensures that skills are honed, Knowledge is expanded and capabilities are strengthened. Destiny requires competence, and competence is the product of persistent, disciplined effort. Discipline also shapes character. It teaches humility by reminding you that effort is required for progress. It builds courage by requiring action despite fear. It develops wisdom by showing the consequences of choices over time. Character formed through discipline becomes the foundation for leadership, influence, purpose. Those who are disciplined are trusted, relied upon, and followed because their consistency and integrity demonstrate reliability. Destiny is inseparable from character. The two grow together. Moreover, discipline creates momentum. Small, consistent actions accumulate, building energy, confidence, and opportunity. Each disciplined choice adds weight to your forward motion, making subsequent actions easier and more effective. Momentum amplifies impact. Destiny is rarely achieved in a single leap. It emerges from the cumulative effect of repeated, intentional steps. Discipline ensures that each step contributes to progress rather than regression. Discipline also teaches accountability. When you are committed to deliberate action, you accept responsibility for your outcomes. You no longer blame circumstances, others, or luck for where you are. Discipline instills ownership, which empowers you to shape your own future. Destiny is not given, it is claimed by those willing to act with responsibility, consistency, and focus. Finally, discipline reinforces vision with action. Dreams remain abstract until discipline translates them into consistent effort, practical steps, and measurable progress. Discipline bridges the gap between who you are today and who you are meant to become. It transforms potential into reality, intention into impact, and aspiration into destiny. Without discipline, vision fades into wishful thinking. With discipline, vision becomes tangible, attainable, and unstoppable. In conclusion, discipline creates destiny because it forms the foundation of character, focus, resilience, competence. It converts dreams into reality, potential into mastery, and opportunity into achievement. Discipline is the quiet, unseen work that determines who rises and who remains stagnant. It is the practice of self-control, consistency, patience, integrity that ensures purpose is fulfilled. Those who embrace discipline shape their own destiny, while those who neglect it surrender to chance. Discipline is not optional for those who desire greatness. It is essential. Through disciplined action, you do not merely exist. You rise, you endure, you fulfill the destiny that has been placed within you. Life has a way of testing patience, resilience, and faith. Many endure seasons of struggle, waiting, preparation without immediate recognition or reward. During these periods, it is easy to feel invisible, forgotten, or overlooked. Doubts creep in. Comparisons to others surface. Frustration and impatience threaten to derail progress. Yet there is a profound truth. If you endure faithfully, if you grow quietly, and if you remain steadfast in purpose, the return will be evident. What has been cultivated in silence, discipline, preparation cannot remain hidden forever. Eventually, the results of your endurance will speak louder than any words ever could. The return is not always immediate, but it is inevitable for those who persist. Life's process is not about instant gratification. It is about growth, refinement, and alignment. Every challenge you face, every setback you endure, and every period of waiting is not wasted. They are the groundwork for a return that will exceed expectations. Those who have overlooked, underestimated, doubted you will be forced to acknowledge the transformation that has taken place. The return will not require justification. It will be self-evident in the power, influence, and impact that emerges. The return will be evident because preparation leaves a mark that cannot be concealed. Seasons of discipline, self-reflection, and effort produce results that are visible and undeniable. The skills you have honed, the character you have developed, and the resilience you have built will manifest in every action, decision, and interaction. People may have dismissed your waiting period as stagnation. They will soon realize that it was the silent incubation of your future success. When the return arrives, it will leave no room for doubt. The evidence will be unmistakable. Your return will be evident in your confidence. Those who endure quietly and prepare diligently develop an inner assurance that is unshakable. Confidence is not built in the spotlight. It is forged in the shadows. When you step into your season, your poised composure, clarity will signal to the world that you have been transformed. Authority will no longer be assumed, it will be recognized. Your confidence will be magnetic, drawing respect and admiration without the need for explanation. People will notice not because you demand attention, because your presence conveys a depth and power that cannot be ignored. The return will also be evident in your influence. Transformation that has been cultivated in private becomes visible in the way others respond to you. Your wisdom, discernment, and capability will speak volumes. People will seek your insight, follow your example, and align with your vision. Influence does not rely on force, it relies on authenticity and credibility. When your return is fully realized, the influence you wield will be a testament to the unseen work you have done, the character you have built, purpose you have fulfilled. Your return will be evident in your achievements. The labor of preparation produces tangible results. Opportunities that once seemed distant will now be within reach. Goals that once felt unattainable will now be accomplished. The return is marked by outcomes that reflect your dedication, effort, and strategic focus. Success will no longer be a possibility. It will be a reality. The evidence of your return will be so clear that it silences skepticism and validates the journey you have undertaken. The return will be evident in your resilience. Life will continue to challenge, but your response will be different. Whereas before setbacks may have caused discouragement, now they reveal your strength. The lessons you learned during waiting periods will guide your actions. Your ability to persevere under pressure will distinguish you from those who have not endured. Resilience becomes visible not only in surviving challenges, but in thriving despite them. When people witness how you navigate adversity with composure and determination, your return becomes undeniable. The return will be evident in the transformation of your character. Hardship shapes humility, patience, empathy, and wisdom. These qualities are rarely gained quickly, they are earned through seasons of testing. When you emerge from such seasons, people will notice the depth of your integrity, the steadiness of your decisions, and the strength of your convictions. Character is visible in every choice, interaction, and response. Your return is not measured solely by accomplishments, but by the person you have become in the process. The return will be evident in timing. Those who wait with faith understand that opportunity has its own rhythm. A return that is perfectly timed maximizes impact. Too soon, and the foundation may be weak. Too late, and momentum may be lost. When the return aligns with preparation, skill, and purpose, it becomes undeniable. The precision of timing demonstrates not only personal growth, but also divine or natural orchestration. People will recognize that your emergence was not accidental. It was intentional, cultivated, and inevitable. The return will be evident in your legacy. Transformation is not only personal, it affects those around you. The growth you have achieved, the impact you make, and the influence you wield create a ripple effect. Others are inspired, encouraged, and empowered by your journey. The return is not limited to self-fulfillment. It extends into the lives of those touched by your presence. The evidence of your return will be seen not only in accomplishments, but in the lives you change, opportunities you create, and the example you set. Finally, the return will be evident because it is the culmination of persistence, discipline, and faith. Those who have endured seasons of silence, setbacks, and preparation will emerge with a clarity and power that cannot be denied. The return does not need fanfare, announcements, or defense. It is self-evident, the work that has been done, the strength that has been built, and the purpose that has been fulfilled make the outcome obvious. Results speak louder than words, actions louder than excuses, presence louder than explanation. In conclusion, the return will be evident because preparation leaves its mark. The trials endured, the discipline maintained, and the character developed manifest in ways that cannot be ignored. Confidence, influence, achievement, resilience, character, timing, legacy all converge to create undeniable evidence of growth and purpose. When the return occurs, it is not only visible, It is transformative. People who once doubted, overlooked, or dismissed you will witness the result of perseverance and preparation. The return is not an announcement, it is an unveiling. And when it comes, it will be evident for all to see you have grown, you have endured, and you have arrived. Every year carries with it the potential for change, growth, and reinvention. Yet very few truly understand that a new year is not simply a continuation of the past. It is an opportunity to step into a new identity. Too often, people approach a new year expecting it to mirror the last, hoping for better outcomes while remaining tethered to old habits, old mindsets, and old limitations. 2026 is not meant to be a repeat. It is a season of transformation, a chapter of reinvention, and a time to embrace the fullness of the person you are becoming. A new identity begins with perspective. To step into something new, you must first recognize that the past does not define your future. Mistakes, failures, disappointments, and even achievements from previous years are not constraints. They are lessons, foundations, and stepping stones. 2026 invites you to evaluate what you have learned, to release what no longer serves you, and to step forward with intention. Holding on to the past prevents growth. Embracing a new identity allows evolution. Identity is not about surface changes, it is about essence. Changing your circumstances without transforming who you are at your core leads to repetition, not progress. A promotion, a new relationship, or a different environment will only magnify who you already are unless your identity has shifted. 2026 calls for deep internal work. It is about cultivating resilience, sharpening wisdom, strengthening character, and refining purpose. The new year is a platform to become a person equipped for the possibilities and challenges ahead, not merely a continuation of the person you were before. A new identity requires intentionality. Transformation does not happen passively. It demands decision, discipline, and deliberate action. You must define the qualities, habits, and mindset that will characterize the new you. Who will you be in 2026? What principles will guide your actions? How will you respond to adversity differently than before? By answering these questions and living in alignment with them, you shift from repeating patterns to creating a trajectory of intentional growth. Identity is cultivated through daily decisions, not sporadic resolutions. Releasing old identities is essential for growth. The person you were shaped by past experiences, clinging to old versions of yourself limits what you can become. Old fears, limiting beliefs, negative self-perceptions must be addressed and replaced with courage, vision, and confidence. Transformation requires courage, the courage to let go of familiar identities, even if they feel safe, in order to step into a larger version of yourself. 2026 is the year to shed what no longer fits, so that space is created for what is destined. A new identity requires clarity of purpose. To avoid repeating the past, you must define not just what you want, but who you want to become. Purpose gives direction, focus, and meaning. Without purpose, change is superficial. With purpose, transformation is sustainable. 2026 invites you to align your actions, relationships, and choices with your calling. Each step taken intentionally in alignment with purpose builds a stronger foundation for the new identity you are cultivating. Transformation is often accompanied by discomfort. Stepping into a new identity means confronting old habits, facing challenges, embracing growth that is sometimes uncomfortable. Change demands resilience. Old patterns will resist, and the familiar will try to reclaim you. Discomfort is not a signal to retreat. It is confirmation that you are growing. The person you become in 2026 will not be recognizable to those who knew only your past. That is the essence of transformation. Growth requires leaving the familiar behind. A new identity also demands accountability. Transformation cannot occur in isolation. Surround yourself with influences, mentors, and environments that reflect the future you desire. Feedback, guidance, and alignment with principles that support growth, accelerate the development of a new self. Who embrace 2026 as a new identity do not rely on mere willpower. They build structures and relationships that reinforce the evolution of their character and purpose. The power of a new identity lies in its ripple effect. When you change internally, your actions, decisions, and presence transform the world around you. Opportunities that were previously unavailable become accessible. Influence grows. Relationships shift. Energy, vision, and leadership take on a new quality. People respond not to your past, but to the person you now embody. The transformation of identity amplifies impact in every area of life, making 2026 a year of unprecedented alignment and manifestation. A new identity also resets expectations. You are no longer defined by previous failures or limitations. You are not bound by old labels, past criticism, or prior mistakes. 2026 offers a clean slate, one that requires intentional cultivation. You must define the standards, boundaries, and values that will govern your actions. This is a year to establish habits, disciplines, and practices that align with the person you intend to become. Repetition is avoided when identity is intentionally redesigned. Transformation requires vision. A new identity is not built by chance. It is built with foresight. Envision the person you want to become, the results you wish to achieve, and the influence you seek to wield. That vision guides your daily actions, decisions, and mindset. Identity is cumulative. It is built in consistent choices that reflect who you are becoming. Merely who you have been. 2026 calls for proactive creation of self, not passive continuation. A new identity is also strengthened by resilience. The journey from old self to new self is not linear. Challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt will arise. Those committed to transformation understand that these obstacles are part of the process. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to refine character, reinforce commitment, and demonstrate endurance. Resilience ensures that 2026 is not a repeat, a leap into a higher level of personal and spiritual development. Ultimately, 2026 is a declaration you are stepping into a season that demands evolution, not replication. You are no longer bound by the limitations of the past. You are not defined by previous failures, habits, or perceptions. You are called to embody growth, wisdom, and purpose. The new identity you cultivate this year will redefine how you operate, relate, and influence. Will mark a departure from repetition and the beginning of transformation that is visible, tangible, and undeniable. In conclusion, 2026 is a new identity, not a repeat. It is a season to shed old limitations, embrace growth, and step into the fullness of your potential. Transformation is internal, intentional, often uncomfortable, but it is the key to avoiding repetition and realizing destiny. Your identity is not merely who you were, it is who you are becoming. The choices you make, the habits you cultivate, and the mindset you adopt this year will determine the trajectory of your life for years to come. Step boldly into 2026 as a new person with new vision, new purpose, and a new capacity to achieve, influence, and thrive.